So have you ever wondered why you can work 60 hours a week and you read all those best-selling self-help books?
Oh, yeah, the whole morning routine thing.
Right, the ice baths, the positive thinking, all of that. But then at the end of the year, you look around and you're just stuck in the exact same place.
It's, honestly, it's probably the most common frustration for professionals today. You play by the rules, you put in the hours, and the needle just does not move.
Yeah, it feels like you're on a treadmill and someone else has the remote, right?
Right.
Like they keep cranking up the speed, but the scenery never actually changes.
Exactly. And it creates this huge cognitive dissonance. You start wondering if there's some secret meeting that everyone else got invited to and you just missed the memo.
Totally. Well, today we are going to completely dismantle that treadmill. So welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission for this conversation is to just tear down this massive myth that success is just about grueling hard work or, finding some mystical success formula inside your own psyche.
Yeah, we're swapping that out for a real battle-tested roadmap. A roadmap for spotting basically the most valuable and shockingly totally free resource in the world.
Which is opportunity. And we're pulling this from a really fascinating source text today. It's called The Power of Opportunity by Richard M. Rothman.
And, we really need to set the stage on who Rothman is because this isn't just a book of motivational quotes.
Right, he's not a mindset guru.
Not at all. He's the founder of the Open Mind Opportunity Consultancy. He's got over 32 years of experience in the trenches.
The real corporate trenches.
Exactly. Advising these massive companies like Z Entertainment, Metro Shoes. And before that, he was literally the U.S. Trade Commissioner in India, Italy, Indonesia.
So he spent decades watching how wealth is actually generated at the absolute highest levels of global commerce.
Yeah, he's seen the gears turning. He knows why some giant companies catch the next wave and why others, even with billions in the bank, just completely collapse.
Which means this isn't just theory. This is applied mechanics. So to you listening right now, I want you to treat this deep dive as a ruthless personal audit of your own career.
Oh, for sure.
Because by the end of this, the goal is for you to look at your daily grind through a totally different filter. No more waiting for opportunity to knock. You're going to start hunting it down.
Yeah, moving from just passively waiting around to actively hunting. That's the pivot.
So let's start with the big lie. The thing we've been told for 80 years by the self-help industry.
The success formula illusion.
Right, you look at Dale Carnegie telling us to win friends, or Stephen Covey with the 7 Habits, Robert Kiyosaki saying you just need to think rich.
And, the common denominator there is that it's all entirely inward-looking.
Exactly. It's all internal.
The assumption is basically if you fix yourself, if you optimize your routine or just adopt this abundance mindset, then success is just going to naturally flow to you.
The market is just this meritocracy of good vibes.
Right. And Napoleon Hill is probably the most extreme example of this, right? The whole thoughts are things idea.
The law of attraction.
Yeah, the idea that if you just sit in your room and visualize a mansion hard enough, the universe will literally bend space and time to deliver it to you.
Which, is a very comforting thought. It gives you this illusion of control.
It does. But Rothman's text points out that when it comes to the actual mechanical generation of wealth, it's just fundamentally flawed.
Being nicer improve your life, sure.
Oh, absolutely. It'll improve your marriage, your friendships. But your friends aren't going to spontaneously hand you millions of dollars just because you're charming.
I can confirm that. I'm incredibly charming, and my bank account has not noticed.
Right, because internal desire just isn't an economic driver. I could visualize owning a telecom company all day, but that's not going to magically build cell towers.
The source text has this really funny pop culture example for this. The Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra thing.
Yes. It's such a brilliant way to expose the absurdity of the mindset approach.
Because, think about the math there. There were probably millions of guys around the world visualizing marrying Priyanka Chopra.
Millions of people putting her on their vision boards, yeah.
But Nick Jonas didn't win because he visualized it harder than some guy in Ohio.
No, he had the background, the music career, sure, but the defining variable was the external opportunity.
He actually had the opportunity to meet her.
Exactly. He had access to those same exclusive industry events. Without that external structural opportunity to literally be in the same room as her, all the internal yearning in the world means absolutely nothing.
You can't visualize your way across a closed VIP border.
You really can't. And, it's not just self-help gurus who get this wrong. Even elite business schools fall into this trap.
Oh, with a Fancy corporate jargon.
Yeah, they use different words, but it's the same flaw. They talk about blue ocean strategies and disruptive innovation.
Right. Framing it like a brilliant idea is all you need. And for anyone who doesn't know, a blue ocean is basically creating a market space so new that you have zero competitors. You're in clear blue water, not a red ocean full of sharks.
It sounds totally foolproof on paper, but the text gives this devastating counterexample, the IBM Simon.
Okay, yes, the IBM Simon. This blew my mind. So this is 1992.
1992, people are carrying briefcases and using payphones.
And IBM launches a mobile phone with a touchscreen. It had email, a calendar, a calculator. It was literally a smartphone in 1992.
It was incredibly disruptive, launched into the bluest ocean possible. There was nothing else like it on the planet.
And it just spectacularly sank. It was totally discontinued.
Yeah, completely forgotten until the iPhone came along 15 years later and did the exact same thing.
So why did it fail if the idea was so brilliant?
Because a brilliant idea, even with IBM's massive resources, just isn't enough. The underlying external opportunity didn't exist yet.
Because the infrastructure was missing.
Exactly. In 92, cellular networks were analog. They were slow and super expensive. The internet barely existed for normal people. Battery tech was heavy.
People didn't walk around staring at screens yet.
Right. So IBM had the massive action and the resources, but the opportunity was a mirage at that specific time. By 2007, Apple had 3G networks, Wi-Fi, miniaturized processors. The opportunity had ripened.
Wow. So the environment actually has to be ready.
It has to be right.
Okay, so we've debunked the mindset thing and the premature brilliant idea thing. But what about the cynical view? A lot of people think the real secret to success is just, corruption.
Oh, like nepotism or bending the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, while that has historically worked in some places, the text explicitly says that in modernizing economies, India being a huge example here, that path is shrinking fast.
Because everything leaves a digital footprint now.
Right. Regulatory oversight is getting automated. Relying on cronyism is increasingly just a fast track to prison, not sustainable wealth.
The risk-to-reward ratio is just collapsing.
Yeah, sustainable success has to come from applying real work to genuine external opportunities.
Okay, let's unpack this right here, because if I'm listening to this, I'm getting a little frustrated. If working hard doesn't work, and a positive attitude doesn't work, and a brilliant idea isn't enough, what is the actual starting point?
Right, because modern workers are just paralyzed by this. They just keep taking another masterclass or downloading productivity apps to look inward.
Exactly. So if we need to look outward, where do we even begin?
Well, to answer that, we have to look at someone who started with absolutely nothing. None of those advantages. No venture capital, no Ivy League network.
This is the Ramesh Babu story from the text.
Yeah.
The billionaire barber.
Yes.
I really want to dig into this because his story completely breaks all the rules we just talked about. So Ramesh is 8 years old. He's taking a second-grade exam, and he gets pulled out of class and told his father just died of a heart attack.
It's just a devastating trauma and an immediate economic shock.
Total poverty. His dad's only asset was this tiny barbershop in Bangalore. His mom has to rent it out to a tenant for just 5 rupees a day.
5 rupees?
Yeah. And she has to work as a maid. They're surviving on 1 meal a day. Little Ramesh starts delivering milk just to get a few extra coins.
Literally the bottom of the economic ladder. Zero privilege.
And then the tenant stops paying the 5 rupees. He just stops.
Knowing they can't afford a lawyer to fight it, it's brutal.
So Ramesh, who is just a teenager at this point, sees his mom crying and says, "I'm taking the shop back." He forces the tenant out, and the grind begins. He opens at 6 a.m., cuts hair all day, goes to evening college, comes back, works till midnight.
16-hour days, just constantly on his feet.
Now, if the story ended there, it would be this nice, noble story about hard work and survival.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be a billionaire. Because hard work alone, just cutting hair for 16 hours, has a mathematical ceiling.
Right, you can only cut so many heads of hair in a day.
Exactly. The massive wealth required a totally different mechanic.
So here's the pivot. He saves a tiny bit of money, gets a loan, and buys a Maruti Omni van. Now, the monthly loan payment for this van is 6,800 rupees, which is actually more than he makes in a month cutting hair.
On paper, that looks like financial suicide.
Totally. But he has to put the van to work to pay for it, so he starts renting it out.
And this is the magic moment. Because he's forced to interact with the broader economy. He's driving around Bangalore, actually observing reality instead of just visualizing it.
What he observes is this massive gap in the market. It's the late 90s, Bangalore is booming with IT, and there's a huge demand for luxury car rentals. International execs are flying in, but nobody has the supply.
Right. He didn't invent luxury cars. He didn't invent renting them. He just saw the gap.
He recognized the opportunity. And this is the core thesis of the whole deep dive. The opportunity itself was completely free.
Yes. Nobody charged him a fee to notice that Bangalore needed luxury cars.
It was just sitting there in plain sight. So he upgrades. Buys a Mercedes, rents it out, buys another. Then in 2011, he buys a Rolls-Royce Ghost for over $3 million, 3.01 crore rupees.
Which sounds insane, but by then he understood the market mechanics so well it wasn't a blind risk.
Fast forward to 2018, the guy has 400 luxury vehicles. He's renting to Bollywood stars like Shah Rukh Khan. He's a billionaire.
And he still cuts hair in his shop every day, which I love.
It's amazing. But here's where it gets really interesting. Opportunity is basically like a combination lock. The vault is the market, and all the money is inside.
Okay, I like this analogy.
Right, and the numbers to the lock are just public data points. Number one, Bangalore's economy is booming. Number two, wealthy people need premium services. Number three, the current rental cars are all cheap and run down.
And everyone in Bangalore had access to those numbers. They were free.
Exactly. Ramesh was just the first guy to spin the dials, put them in order, and open the vault.
That's a phenomenal way to put it, because the text makes it really clear that Ramesh isn't a fluke. This is a universal law.
Oh.
Look at Dhirubhai Ambani, or Steve Jobs, or Subhash Chandra.
Wait, I know Steve Jobs, but let's break down one of the others. How about Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw? She started Biocon.
Yeah. She didn't just work hard and magically build a biotech empire. She started with 10,000 rupees in a leaky garage.
Wow, 10,000 rupees. So what was her free opportunity?
She looked at the Indian enzyme market. She saw that India had incredibly cheap raw materials for enzymes, like papaya, but the market was super inefficient. People were exporting the cheap raw materials, and then Indian companies were importing the refined enzymes from Europe at a huge markup.
She just captured the middle.
Exactly. The refinement process. She saw the gap.
She spun the dials. Number one, cheap raw materials here. Number two, expensive refined products here. Number three, I can refine it myself.
Yes. Or look at Subhash Chandra. Started with 17 rupees and built ZTV into a 20,000 crore empire.
How did he do it?
He looked at television in India in the early 90s. There was only one state-run broadcaster, Doordarshan. It was rigid and boring. Industry insiders thought satellite TV was too complicated or legally impossible. But Chandra saw 1 billion people starved for entertainment and this new satellite tech. He just connected the public numbers.
And Steve Jobs did the same thing.
Right. He visits Xerox PRRC, sees their clunky, early graphical user interface with a mouse. He realizes the gap. Computers were terrifying for normal people. The opportunity was translating that power into a friendly appliance.
So all these titans started with basically empty wallets. They didn't have secret knowledge. They just spotted the combination lock. Because opportunities are free.
They are just existing in the environment, waiting to be leveraged.
Okay, wait, I got to push back here.
Go for it.
If opportunities are totally free and they're just floating around like oxygen, why do venture capitalists even exist? Why do tech giants spend billions on R&D? If it's free, why is so much money involved?
Ah, that's the critical distinction. Spotting the opportunity is free. Exploiting it requires resources. Okay.
But here's the magic. If you truly spot a massive opportunity, the resources will come to you. You don't need to start with the money. Capital is always desperately looking for a vehicle to multiply itself.
So if you articulate the gap, the money flows to it.
Exactly. But that brings up the biggest question. If they're free to spot, why don't we all see them?
Yeah, why aren't we all billionaires?
Because of this trap called the nopportunity?
The danger of the nopportunity. Rothman quotes his dad here, who said, "Ideas are a dime a dozen."
Which is profoundly true. We constantly confuse an idea with an opportunity. An idea is just a thought in your head. Most ideas are actually opportunities.
And why are they dangerous?
Because an opportunity acts like a parasite. It actively drains your time, your money, and your energy without ever giving anything back.
That is terrifying. Because if I'm listening right now, maybe I'm grinding away on some side hustle or big project at work. How do I know if I'm working on a real opportunity or if I'm just feeding a parasite? Well, let's look at a mechanical failure in the text. Naveen Tiwari, brilliant guy. He and his co-founders started a company called Imkoj.
Okay.
The idea was an SMS-based search engine for local deals.
Sounds logical. Everyone loves deals. Everyone has SMS.
Right. They poured almost a year of their lives and all their resources into it. They hustled endlessly.
And what happened?
The market completely ignored it. It flopped. SMS for deals was a clever idea, but the friction for the user was just too high. Texting a code, waiting for a tiny text reply. The market just wasn't there. It was an opportunity.
So what makes them different from people who just fail and burn out?
Because they didn't fall victim to the sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, that's huge. Psychological trap where you tell yourself, I've already put a year of my life and 50 grand into this. I can't quit now.
Exactly. People let their ego get tied to the idea. But Naveen and his team looked at the data rationally. They killed their darling. They stopped, looked at the environment again, and saw the massive shift toward mobile internet.
So they pivoted.
They pivoted hard. Launched InMobi, a mobile ad network.
Which became India's first unicorn. Valued at over $1 billion, backed by SoftBank.
Because they detached from an opportunity and found a real one. And that answers your question about how to tell difference. A true opportunity acts like a magnet.
A magnet, what does that mean?
It possesses an intrinsic pull. It naturally attracts talented people, it generates organic buzz, and it attracts capital.
Like the Tiger Global example in the book.
Exactly. Tiger Global is this massive, ruthless VC firm. When they evaluate founders, they don't care about your Ivy League degree or your background. They basically ask one metric. Has this team identified a massive magnetic opportunity?
Because if the opportunity is big enough, the VC will literally throw millions at you to hire whatever skills you're missing. The opportunity is the asset, not your resume.
Precisely. Primwasa, a legendary investor, says it in the text. If you have opportunity, money comes. If you've spent 2 years begging people to care about your project and it feels like pushing a boulder up a muddy hill, you're probably in an opportunity.
Golden opportunities pull you forward. And opportunities require you to push them.
Yes.
That is super clarifying, but also kind of scary.
Okay, so let's say I do the hard thing. I ruthlessly audit my life. I kill my Zife. Opportunities. I find a golden opportunity. The money flows in, and I'm successful. I'm set for life now, right?
Not exactly. And this is where so many giant companies actually die.
Yeah.
Because even the greatest opportunity have an expiration date.
The expiration date. This is the opportunity life cycle.
Right. It's a biological certainty. Professor J. Bruce Harold from Harvard did a massive study on corporate longevity. Do you know what percentage of companies last more than 40 years?
Yeah, I saw this in the outline, and it's staggering. 1.7%.
1.7%. Almost 98.3% of companies are born, peak, and completely die within half a human lifespan.
And they don't die because they stopped working harder.
No, they die because opportunities aren't permanent. It's like, imagine you find a highly productive gold mine. For a decade, you pull tons of gold out. You build a whole town around it.
But eventually, the mountain is just empty. There's no more gold. Exactly. But instead of sending scouts to find a new mountain, your executives spend all their time trying to invent better pickaxes to scrape dust off the walls of the empty cave.
Firefighting operational problems instead of hunting.
Yes. Look at the graveyard of giants. Polaroid? In 1991, Polaroid sold $3 billion worth of cameras and film.
$3 billion. They were huge.
But their business model was razor and blades. They made all their profit on the chemical film packs. Then digital photography arrives.
The new massive opportunity.
Right, instant viewing without the expensive prints. But Polaroid's boardroom was paralyzed. If they embraced digital, they'd cannibalize their film business, so they ignored it.
They clung to the dying gold mine.
And the results were catastrophic. They went bankrupt twice between 2001 and 2009 and burned through 6 CEOs trying to save a dead model.
Same thing happened to Toys R Us, Blockbuster, Nokia. They anchored themselves to expiring opportunities. But then you have the adapters, like Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola is a brilliant example of adaptation. Their core product is basically carbonated water with 7 teaspoons of sugar.
Which, in today's health-obsessed world, is a rapidly shrinking opportunity.
By 2014, they had about $46 billion in revenue, and over the next 5 years, they watched a third of it just evaporate.
So what do? A bad executive team would just launch a new ad campaign, right? Like, try to convince us sugar is actually great.
They'd optimize the pickaxe, yeah.
Right.
But Coca-Cola realized they weren't just a sugar water company. They were a global liquid distribution network. They saw the new opportunity was premium, healthy beverages.
So they bought Costa Coffee. They expanded into teas, bottled waters.
They hunted for new opportunities to pump through their existing network. And by Q1 2019, they were growing again at 5.2%. They survived because they hunted.
And if the legacy giants don't hunt, the upstarts will eat them alive, like Rovio.
Yeah, Rovio was this tiny Finnish company known for a game called King of the Cabbage World.
Which is such a hilariously bad name.
It's terrible, but they had situational awareness. They saw the massive shift to mobile touchscreen gaming. They didn't cling to the cabbage game. They built Angry Birds.
And completely disrupted Nintendo. Or look at OAO rooms in India. This kid, Ritesh Agarwal, 18-year-old dropout.
Oh, this story is wild.
He's traveling around India, staying in budget hotels, and he sees this massive friction. One hotel is okay, the next has no running water and is full of roaches.
He saw the gap. The Indian market didn't just need a booking platform like Airbnb, it needed a guarantee of quality, standardization.
So he pivoted from his original idea and created OAO, focused on standardizing the rooms, the Wi-Fi, the sheets, at 18. And he wins a $100,000 Thiel Fellowship.
Because he found the magnet, and the capital flowed to him. By age 24, he built a $5 billion company.
Which just proves that the market doesn't care about your age or degree. It only cares about the opportunity you capture.
Exactly.
Okay, so this constant fight against irrelevance brings us to the core framework of the book, the 7 lessons for success. And the first 2 lessons they're pretty harsh truths about reality.
They are. This is where we get into the raw, unapologetic mechanics. Lesson 1, success is the control of resources.
What does that actually mean practically?
It means, historically and economically, prosperity is defined by controlling excess resources, money, property, education, and turning them into power. If you only control what you need to live, you just survive. You need excess to prosper.
Okay, that makes sense. But lesson 2 is the one that makes people really uncomfortable. Permanent inequality of results.
Yeah, this violates our innate sense of fairness. We're taught that equal effort equals equal results.
If we all study hard, we all get A's.
But complex systems don't work like that. If 8 Olympic sprinters train their whole lives and run a race, they all put in maximum effort. But only one gets gold. Effort does not equal results.
And the stats on this are crazy. The top 10% of the global population earns most of the income and controls about 90% of global wealth.
90%. And it applies to companies, too. McKinsey studied 3,000 of the world's largest companies. The top 20% make 10 times the profit of the next 20%.
Wow.
And the top 1 or 2% capture almost everything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the bottom 40% of these huge companies are actually actively losing money.
The Indian market data from 2015-2016 showed the exact same thing. The top 20 firms earned 68% of all post-tax profits. They made 95 times more than the bottom 20 firms.
And we have to look at this rationally, not emotionally. When human history tries to force equal results artificially, like Soviet Russia or collective farms, the mechanics fail. It destroys the incentive to produce, and you just end up with fewer resources equally distributed.
Okay, I have to step in here for the listener. Because if I'm hearing this on my commute, it sounds super demotivating. If the game is mathematically stacked so the top 1% gets everything, why even try?
That is the most important question. And the answer is why this framework is actually empowering. The people at the top didn't get there by luck, and they definitely didn't work 95 times harder than everyone else. That's physically impossible.
Right.
They got to the far right side of the bell curve because they used a superior process.
They found the combination lock.
Exactly. So don't ask how to make the bell curve flat. Ask, what mechanical process can I use to move myself into that top percentile?
Which leads us to lesson 3 and 4. I call this the Pareto principle on steroids.
Yes. Lesson 3, most of your efforts are wasted.
Ouch.
It hurts the ego, but it's mathematically true. Vilfredo Pareto noticed in the 19th century that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people. The 80-20 rule.
Right. 80% of a company's revenue comes from 20% of its customers. But Rothman takes this and applies a 3-step Pareto analysis that is just mind-bending. Let's walk through the math. Say a company has 100 products.
Okay, step 1. The top 20 products produce roughly 80% of the profit. We know that.
Yep.
Step 2 is where it gets aggressive. Apply the rule again to just those top 20 products. 20% of those 20 is just 4 products, and they produce 80% of the 80%. So 64% of the total profit.
And step 3. Apply it one more time. 20% of 4 is 1. So one single product out of 100 generates over 51% of the total profit.
Exactly. 1% of the effort generates half the result. Look at Google. In Q3 of 2018, Alphabet made $27.7 billion in revenue. Now, they invest in everything. Self-driving cars, balloons, quantum computing. But $24.1 billion of that came purely from one thing. Advertising.
Ads are their absolute Pareto leader. It funds the other 99%.
We see it with the Tata Group, too. They make everything from steel to coffee. But Tata Consultancy Services TCS generates nearly 70% of their total dividends.
And the Sintel story is the ultimate proof of this for startups. Nirja Sethi and Bharat Desai started a recruitment agency in a Michigan apartment with $2,000.
The definition of starting small.
Oh.
But they were ruthless about finding their Pareto leader. They saw basic recruitment was low margin, so they shifted to lifecycle applications, then shifted again to platform solutions.
They didn't cling to the old ideas.
No, they kept trimming the fat, focusing only on the 20% most profitable services. They eventually sold the company to Atos for $3.4 billion.
From $2,000 to $3.4 billion, just by cutting wasted effort, which is lesson 4. Focus your efforts carefully. Once you find the Pareto leader, ignore everything else. Tim Cook had a great quote about this.
Right. He said, "We say no to good ideas every day so that we can put enormous energy behind the ones we do choose."
Apple's focus is insane. In 2017, they made only 20% of the world's smartphones, but they captured 92% of the industry's profits.
Think about that visually. There were roughly 999 other smartphone companies, Samsung, LG, Motorola, fighting a bloody war over the remaining 8% of the profits.
It's like thousands of people fighting over crumbs on the floor, while Apple sits quietly in the corner eating an entire cake because they ignored the crumbs.
That is the difference between a Pareto leader and a Pareto loser, and it applies to individuals too. The book uses Sachin Tendulkar, the god of Indian cricket.
Yeah, he's what, 5'5"?
Yeah. If he wanted to be a pro basketball player and spent 80% of his time on his jump shot, he would have wasted his life fighting for crumbs. But his straight drive in cricket was his Pareto leader. He focused all his energy on that one stroke and became an icon. You have to find your personal straight drive.
Okay, so translation for the listener. If I'm a manager drowning in 100 tasks a day, how do I apply this?
Roughly half of your actual value to your company is probably generated in about 5 to 10 minutes of your 8-hour day.
Wait, really? 5 minutes?
Yeah, it might be one strategic email, one key decision, or one client relationship. The other 7 hours and 50 minutes, the Slack messages, the admin work, that's the 99% that barely moves the needle. Your goal is to identify that 5-minute task, spend 4 hours a day doing it, and delegate or delete the rest.
Total paradigm shift. Yeah, but how do we actually sort the leaders from the losers in our daily lives?
That brings us to lesson 5, 6, and 7, the actual equations of success and failure.
Lesson 5 introduces key drivers and key draggers.
Yeah.
And Rothman has a great story about buying a car in India.
Yeah, he needed a car in Mumbai. Now, you could obsess over top speed, off-road ability, the brand prestige, but he looked at his reality. Heavy, gridlocked Mumbai traffic. Top speed meant nothing.
He's not doing a rally race in rush hour.
Right. So he identified his single key driver, backseat comfort. He actively ignored all the key draggers like the BMW badge or huge horsepower because they cost extra for zero benefit. He bought a Skoda Superb. It wasn't flashy, but it perfectly achieved his specific success outcome.
So what's a key dragger in a normal career?
Like, if you're a talented graphic designer, but you spend 20 hours a week struggling to learn HTML coding because you think you should know it, that coding time is a key dragger. It's diluting energy from your design talent, which is your actual key driver.
That leads directly to the ultimate formula, lesson 6, the success equation. Success equals opportunities plus resources plus action. S is O plus R plus A. Why is the order so important?
Because resources and action are multipliers. Opportunity is the base number. If your opportunity is 0A, opportunity, the whole equation collapses. You can have infinite money and work 16-hour days, but massive action multiplied by 0 is still 0.
You have to secure the opportunity first.
Yes. And lesson 7 is the failure equation. Failure equals opportunities plus resources plus action. Massive action on an opportunity just gets you an expensive, soul-crushing failure, like the IBM Simon.
And this equation is why the Tata Group uses their top 3 or bust rule.
Exactly. If a Tata company isn't in the top 3 of its industry, they don't pour more money into it, they divest, they shut it down, they free up the resources and move them to a real opportunity.
Sunil Mittal did this perfectly, right? The telecom guy worth 47,000 crore.
Yeah, he didn't just find one thing and stop. He made bicycle parts, saw a better opportunity, moved to portable generators, saw another shift, moved to push-button phones, then eventually cellular networks with Airtel. S, O plus R plus A over and over again.
So for the listener asking, what do I do tomorrow morning? It comes down to a ruthless audit.
You have to look at your daily actions without ego. Are you pouring energy into a key dragger? Are you trying to save a dead opportunity through sheer force of will?
You need to stop trying to be slightly above average at 100 things. Prune the draggers, find your personal Pareto leader, the magnet, and pour 100% of your action into that.
It's an unsentimental, highly mathematical formula, and it works.
We have covered so much ground today, from a 5-rupee barbershop to Apple's boardroom. So let's summarize this ultimate shift in perspective.
The shift is moving your gaze from the internal to the external. Opportunity isn't luck. It's not going to magically knock on your door while you recite affirmations. It's a free, observable resource floating in the market. But it has a life cycle. It's born, it grows, it dies.
And your job is to hunt for it systematically. Ignore the 80% distractions. Focus on the Pareto leaders. And whether you're Ramesh Babu delivering milk or an executive in a corner office.
The starting line doesn't matter. The only thing that dictates your trajectory is your ability to capture the right opportunity.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought. We talked a lot about massive companies like Polaroid dying because they clung to the past. But what about you?
Yeah, look at your immediate reality tomorrow morning.
Look at your current job, that side project you're stressing over. Ask yourself with total honesty, are you investing your action into a growing magnetic opportunity? Or are you unknowingly trapped in an opportunity? Are you chained to a key dragger that's slowly making you irrelevant?
What would happen if you just stopped accepting average returns on your effort?
What if you woke up tomorrow and applied the top 3 or bust rule to your own life? If a habit or a project isn't serving your ultimate success, what if you just cut it loose, stopped squeezing the empty gold mine, and started hunting?
It's terrifying to let go of what you know, but mathematically it's the only path to the top of that bell curve.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this has dismantled the treadmill for you. Stay curious, keep your eyes open, and keep hunting for those golden opportunities.